Significant breaking news from overnight now. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson traveling in South Korea with strong words toward North Korea.
Let me be very clear. The policy of strategic patience has ended. We're exploring a new range of diplomatic, security, and economic measures. All options are on the table. North Korea must understand that the only path to a secure, economically prosperous future is to abandon its development of nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, and other weapons of mass destruction.
Certainly that became a headline. Now with me, Nikki Haley, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and welcome to New York, and thanks for making time for us here at America's Newsroom. Good morning to you. We got a tweet from the president
moments ago. Good morning, Bill.
Thank you for your time, saying North Korea is behaving very badly. They've been playing the United States for years. China has done little to help. That's a lot now. How far is this administration willing to go?
This is our #1 priority. When you look at North Korea and you look at the fact that just last year alone, they tested 24 ballistic missiles. They had 2 nuclear tests. And then this year, multiple ballistic tests at the same time, on top of the fact that, you know, he killed his half-brother. These are problems. It shows the fact that they're not listening, that nothing has worked, and, you know, we're taking action on it.
When you say it is your #1 priority, does that mean military action against North Korea?
That means all options are on the table. So what you're going to see is we are going to go to China and say, okay, enough of saying that you're doing more. We need to know exactly what you're doing and what level you're willing to go to. We're going to say the same thing to Russia. We need to see some pressure from them on North Korea. And then accordingly, based on what those two do, the United States will respond.
Well, China could have a lot of influence here, but as you said yesterday, you know, been there, done that many, many times for many, many years. What's going to get Beijing to move?
You know, I think this is a different... I think it's a different approach towards China, which is, you know, there was a soft approach to China in the past presidency, and what I can tell you now is we're going to go harder on China. We're going to say, look, if you really are wanting to partner with this, if you really are wanting to stop the nuclear testing that's going on in North Korea, prove it. Don't just tell us you do, prove it. And it's got to be real proof. And we're going to go through and ask them to push towards sanctions and push towards talks with North Korea and tell them that we want them to stop. And, you know, based on their actions, we will act accordingly.
I want to move through a number of topics here in the couple of minutes we have here. Yesterday, you put out a statement. In part, it read like this. I have been working closely with the Secretary General and members of the Security Council to reform the peacekeeping process in UN management. I look forward to working with my UN colleagues to make the organization more effective and efficient. In the age of ISIS, have blue helmets in the UN become irrelevant?
They have not become irrelevant. What we have to do is be strategic in the way we do it. There is certainly some fat at the UN that we can trim. And then also it's just going back and looking at each mission, looking at who we have on the ground, what are they doing, what was the original intent of the mission to start with. That's what we're trying to do. And I think through that process, we're just going to get smarter at the UN. There is value in the UN.
Yeah, I asked
but there's also fat in the UN.
Yeah, when beheadings become commonplace and the UN doesn't want to lose lives, that's tough. The world is a much different place now.
Well, and, you know, the conversations I'm having at the UN is the UN doesn't need to be all things to all people. You have to look at the situation and really see if what we're trying to do is doable and see who the players are in the area. And so much of this is more political than it is in terms of safety. You have to look at the politics in an area before you can go and actually find out what the strategic plan is.
Now, just yesterday, a commission of the UN condemned Israel as an apartheid state. How helpful is that?
It's not helpful, but it goes back to the culture of the UN. The UN has been Israel bashing for decades, and what we are trying to do is make sure that they understand there's a new administration in town. We're not going to put up with it. We're going to have the backs of Israel every time they do this. This was a guy who's been known to be against Israel, and to come out with a report like that was ridiculous, and it was just irresponsible. And so we were very quick to say something, and I think I greatly appreciate that the Secretary General immediately disqualified the report.
Well, you know, I take your comment on that to heart. At the same time, you say the U.S. has been putting up, carrying the burden for the UN for a long time, and perhaps for too long, and you're looking for other countries to step up. who in this world is willing to step up in a way the United States has at the UN?
I think actually a lot of countries will want to step up, and the reason is,
can you name one?
All of our colleagues, I can tell you that I think Russia will step up, I think China will step up, I think UK and France will step up. All of these countries see value in the UN. They really find this as the heart of where negotiations take place and where diplomacy is. So, you know, but they've never been asked to do that. And that's what we need to say is, look, we're going to help people around the world. We're going to do our part, but we're not going to cover the whole thing. We need to start seeing more input. They need to be invested so that they care about what the output of a peacekeeping mission is. They need to be invested so that they care about the management reform at the UN. And so I think that's our job, is to get them to see the inefficiencies. So far, they have responded great in terms of wanting to see this place more efficient.
I asked that, and there's a little bit of delay in the satellite here, because we heard the same thing when John Bolton was at the UN 10 years ago, and I'm just curious, has anything changed? And can you, or under the leadership of President Donald Trump, change it?
Well, I can tell you what I've done, and that was meet with the Secretary General, immediately talk about how we're going to do peacekeeping reform and strategic reform. I've met with every member of the Security Council and talked to them about the reforms I want to do. They are all supportive. No one has pushed back on it. And so as you see us taking on every mission, you're going to see a difference. In Haiti, for example, we're cutting that in half, we're basically exiting out of Haiti. And so you're going to see each mission start to kind of either come to a close or get smarter in the process. And then also, just with the bureaucracy at the UN, you can trim a lot of fat, and everybody sees that. If it's not effective, we're going to call it out. We're going to ask for change. And what we have is a Secretary General that's actually responding positively to that, and we've got a Security Council who gets it.
Well, if you get that done, that will be more than change. That might be a revolution on the east side of Manhattan. Thank you for your time.
I'm determined. I am determined.
Thank you. I hear you loud and clear. Thank you, and please come back. Nikki Haley, the U.S. Ambassador.
Okay, thank you, Bill.